Hello, my fellow real estate professionals. Okay, today we are going to be talking about Brokermint or whatever transaction management software you use and the real reason that you have it. We're going to clear up some of the most common questions that I get about Brokermint, which is the transaction software that we use here at Great Expectations Realty. When should I mark something as opportunity, active, pending? Like, what exactly do you need to do and why do you need to do it? Getting this right is super, super important because it doesn't just keep our files clean, it also shows you exactly where you are in your pipeline, and it really shows you like where you are and how close you are to hitting your goals. So you really, really, really want to do this. It kind of clears up your goal setting and stuff for you. It's great. Okay, so section 1, opportunity. And now keep in mind, this is not how everybody uses Brokermint, but this is how we've found it to be easier to use. Anyway, all right, opportunity. You'll use this when you've got a serious buyer, but you don't have an address yet. That could be a buyer who's pre-approved and you're showing homes. You've got a signed buyer broker's agreement, or you're sending them a buyer's agreement in order to sign, but you don't have a specific house in mind. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and put their name as your subject. Once you have a house address, that's when the contract is gonna go to pending. You've got a house address, a contract, it's gonna go to pending. So think of opportunity as the deal that could happen soon, but nothing is official yet, okay? You can't mark it as pending. All right, logging it into Brokermint at this stage, it really matters because it helps you see what's coming down the pipeline, and that helps us both plan ahead. It also helps you to figure out how many buyers you've got actually out in the ether, so you don't lose anyone who's a hot lead or it's somebody you're actively working with. Speaking of active, next is active. This is when you officially have a signed listing agreement. For example, you've got a listing agreement signed and the property's in MLS. Okay, awesome. At this stage, your job is to keep things moving. You want to get the marketing, the property showing homes, keeping your client engaged, letting them know how many showings or how many interested parties you have. Think of active as like the live deal under a listing contract, but you don't have a purchase agreement yet, so it can't go to pending, right? Okay, cool. Finally, what we've been talking about, pending. Pending is when you have an executed contract, okay, and a closing date. So you are going to closing. You're just waiting for that to happen, okay? That's when both the buyer and a seller have agreed to a signed purchase agreement. At this stage, your focus shifts to transaction management, inspections, financing, title appraisals, all of the steps leading up to the closing itself. You're no longer actively showing or doing open houses or anything like that on the property. You're not still working with the buyer to show them houses. Think of pending as we've got the contract, now we're just getting to the finish line. So once you have the buyer or seller under contract, that's when it moves to pending. And then you can clearly see in your pipeline where you're at with your goals. Here's the big reason this matters, that pipeline. When you update Brokermint or whatever transaction management software you're using, if you move it correctly from opportunity to active to pending, you're not just moving paperwork around. You're building a clear picture of your business and what you can expect. When you have a clear picture of your business, you are a true business person, okay? You can work your budget. You can make plans for your future. Your pipeline shows you, for example, how many deals you've got in the works, what stage they're at, what date, month, whatever. If it's a new construction or something, it could be 6 months out. You don't want to like lose track of that deal, for crying out loud, in your budgets. Whether you're on track to hit your goals this month, this quarter, and this year, all going to show you right in the pipeline. Opportunities, you're going to always feel like you're starting over every month if you do not put that in there. Okay, this is going to give you a big case of burnout because you don't have hope of things changing or growing or anything. You're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. That's not what I want from you. I want you to build your business. If you don't move things to active, you can't measure how effective you're getting at signed listing agreements, right? if you don't mark things as pending. You won't see how much actual income is on its way. So keeping this clean, accurate record, it's not just busy work, okay? It's how you make sure your goals are real, trackable, and achievable, which are really important when you're actually doing goals, okay? Goals is not just some kind of number out there. This is, here's what I want, and here's how I'm going to get it, and then follow through to make sure that's what's happening. So remember the rule of thumb. Opportunity equals serious buyer lead, no address yet, active, signed or about to be signed listing agreement, pending, signed purchase contract, and you have a closing date. It could be 6 months to a year out, but you've got it, so it counts. Keep your Brokermint pipeline updated, and you're always going to know exactly where you stand in your business. And of course, I'll be checking in regularly with you because your success is all about keeping that pipeline full and moving. And my business is to keep you in business. All right, team, go to Brokermint today, double check your statuses, and let's make sure that your pipeline matches your goal. And if it needs work or if you need help, just call me up, set up a one-on-one so we can specifically look at your pipeline and your goals and make sure that you have everything that you need to achieve them. All right, if you need anything, let me know. Bye.